Welcome back.
Well, I know I feel like I should just be like, hi, until it starts.
Oh my God, our webcam sucks.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Mountain Murders. I know. I mean, we're just sort of feeling this out. So apologies. We're sitting on this weird bench that I have, like a settee. And
what the fuck?
And Dylan's got thick thighs, and it's
Wait
really
a minute.
hard. He's man-spreading, and I'm like, can you close your legs? It's not very ladylike.
A settee. That's a rich people's bench.
Whatever.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry that I'm uppity.
Yeah, so it's good to see you guys, and here we are. Hi, patrons that are here.
Yeah, so thanks to everybody who tuned in. I mean, we hope to make this more of a regular thing where maybe, a couple times a month or every couple of months we are able to host a live show. I think it'd be fun. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it would be fun.
Awesome. Well, I have a true crime mystery for us to talk about. Are you ready to get started, Dylan?
I am.
All right. Well, it's difficult being a parent. Your job is to raise and protect your children and do your best to raise them right. And today's story is both mysterious and heartbreaking. We're actually going to discuss a story from your hometown.
Oh, Shelltown.
Shelby, North Carolina. Maybe some of our viewers out there are familiar with Shelby. It's, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from where we are in Western North Carolina.
Yeah, and then
above Charlotte, between Charlotte and Nashville.
Yeah, about in the middle, actually.
Harold and Akila Degree got married on Valentine's Day in 1988. 1 year later, they became parents to O'Brien Degree, and on August 5th of 1990, they had their second child, Asha Degree. Now, the family, they were, a young family, and they lived in Shelby on 3404 Oak Crest Drive. And they were like a really close-knit family. They had Harold's mother and sister living down the street from them. So this was the kind of family where they were like popping in, visiting. The kids would walk down the street to grandma's house.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have that like support system.
It is.
Growing up, the Degree family were very religious, and they attended the Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church every week without fail. Asha thoroughly enjoyed church, and she was eager to go to her weekly Bible study. Seeing how the family was Christian-oriented, Harold and Akila did their best to shelter their kids from the outside world. They had limited television, no access to a computer. And these were kids who were still being raised in a very wholesome way, like you go outside and play, come back at dinner time. It wasn't the, hey, we're going to sit on our gadgets all day. How we grew up.
Yeah, that's the way it was when I was a kid. Your mom's like, get the hell out of here. I'll see you around dinner.
Well, at the age of 9, Asha was a fourth grader at Falston Elementary School. Do you remember Falston Elementary?
No, I don't.
Okay. I thought I would ask. And she was described as an outstanding student with an exceptional attendance record. When it came to education, she had a knack for science and math, so STEM classes. Of course, they probably weren't called STEM classes back then.
Women tend to excel in those types of classes.
Do they? Because I'm terrible with math.
Yeah, science and math.
Well, who knew, Dylan?
Well, now you know. That's like G.I. Joe up this bitch.
Okay. Well, your daughter does well in math and science.
Yeah. She does good in anything like mechanical or kind of engineering kind of thing.
Actually, my daughter does very well in math as well. I must be the only female in my family who can't do math.
She's way smarter than she looks.
She also enjoyed reading and writing, even having some ambition to become an illustrator. And her English class had just finished reading the book The Whipping Boy by Sid Fleischman. And it's a children's book about two kids running away from home, but eventually they return. Have you ever read The Whipping Boy, Dylan?
No, I have not.
Oh, I remember reading that in the 4th grade. And it was a great book. You should totally check it out, even for like a young, like a child's book. It's actually a really good story, good moral to the story. Aside from excelling in her education, Asha also loved sports, particularly basketball, and she was a star point guard on her Pee Wee basketball team, the Falston Bulldogs. Asha's brother was also heavily involved in sports and was on the boys' basketball team. So as you can imagine, these are kids who probably frequently, attending basketball practices, likely have that Saturday basketball game. The whole family goes. It's like a big deal. Due to Asha and O'Brien's upbringing, they were more responsible than your average child, and they would often let themselves in their home after school and would be found doing their homework or chores by the time their mother arrived from home. She worked at Kauai America Manufacturing, and their father would get home late from PPG Industries. That's where he worked as a second shift, dock loader.
Yeah, I think that's Pittsburgh Paint and Glass, I believe is what that stands for.
Okay.
I do remember that place.
Well, it must be nice to have kids who come home and do their chores before you get there.
Well, yeah, these kids are kicking ass. They're handling, their practice, and they're excelling on teams and in their work.
Yeah, it sounds
Schoolwork.
like they have a great home, loving family, and these are good parents. If you've got your kids this in line, to me, that's some good parenting right there.
Responsible and such.
Exactly. They're giving these kids a good foundation for life. Well, on February 11th, it's a Friday, the year 2000. In the year 2000. Y2K. Okay, anyway, so on February 11th, 2000, all the schools were closed for a 3-day weekend because of President's Day. So the next day was Saturday, and Asha's school held their first basketball game of the season. Unfortunately, Asha fouled out, and her team lost the game. And she was pretty upset about this. She felt like she had let her team down. But she quickly bounced back to her normal self. And the following morning, things were seemingly normal as the Degree family went to church. Once the services were finished, they all went to her aunt's residence, and their grandmother made lunch for the family. And after they all spent the afternoon together, Asha and her parents went home because Harold had to get ready for work. And it's my understanding that the Saturday, night, before, she had stayed over at her aunt's house, and they had a sleepover with her cousins.
Okay, so she'd had a busy couple of days.
Then they got up, went to church together, and then her parents came over, and they had food, and then they had to get back home. So it was about 8 p.m. that Asha and her brother, and they shared the same bedroom. They went to bed early because they had stayed up late the night before, having enjoyed this sleepover with their cousins. Did you have a lot of cousins? Were you a kid who had a lot of sleepovers growing up with your cousins?
No, girl, I come from a small family.
Oh, yeah?
It's just me, my mom, and my sister.
Well, shit, I thought you might have had some cousins.
I had nobody but my mom and my sister. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, rub it in my fucking face. I ain't had no cousins.
Yeah, I'm from one of those
God.
family where there were quite a few cousins, and they kind of, when you're really young, your cousins are sort of like your first friends.
Yeah, basically.
So they're the first kids that you're hanging out with. That was the first time I would spend the night away from home.
Well, and you're always
I was
around.
always at my cousin's house.
As the adults visit and intermingle, your cousins are just around. They're always around where you are, and you're off playing together with them. So there's that.
Yeah, I had this cousin, Chris, and he tormented me as a little kid because my hair was very, very blonde. It was a towhead, but super white hair. And he would always run around and grab his lower back and act like he was walking on a cane or something, and he'd be like, "She's an old woman."
Oh my God.
I would cry. It would really hurt my feelings.
Oh. And then he'd be like, "Oh, what's wrong with that old lady?"
Yeah, he would just totally make fun of me. And,
Damn, Chris.
And then I would spend the night at their house, and at 2 a.m. would wake up crying and want to go home.
Oh my God.
I was that kid.
What the fuck, Chris?
Yeah, I never really wanted to sleep over at anyone's house. I always just wanted to be at home.
No, I was cool. I had some friends and stuff. You kick it here and there.
So I'm sure these kids had probably stayed up late, maybe even stayed up all night, hanging out, watching movies, snacks, games,
Yeah,
toys.
and then a big day of church and, running around after church and all that. You know how kids do. So, yeah, I'd say the kids are pretty tired at this point.
And Monday was also a school day, so they got to go to bed. And about an hour later, Asha was awakened. There was a terrible thunderstorm outside. Really loud, violent thunderstorm. And there was a power outage in the neighborhood. Someone had had a car accident and had knocked down, hit a power line and had knocked out the power in the whole neighborhood.
Oh my God, your little hands.
I'm a hand talker, you know this.
She is.
I will talk to you with my hand.
Oh my God,
Okay.
Put him away.
No, I love my hand puppet. So, no power, the loud noise this wakes her up. So she's awake, and when her dad arrives home about 12:30 a.m., the power came back on soon after. So he gets home, and he checks on the children, And there was some sources that say Asha was still up and in the living room when he got home, but other sources were like, no, she was already in bed. So I'm not exactly sure if she was still awake or not. So Harold stays up for a little bit. I mean, you know, Dylan, when you come in after having worked a shift, you gotta
take a little time. It doesn't matter
bit.
what time you come in. I'm sure people in the service industry, you know, and stuff, do restaurants and such, deal with it. But you have to take a little bit of time to unwind, or it just feels like you're going right to sleep and waking up and going back to work.
Yeah, so you have to unwind a little bit. So he's, you know, decompressing, hanging out. But he went to bed about 2:30 a.m. And before he laid down, he checked on the kids just to make sure everything was okay. Not too long after, O'Brien, her brother, he wakes up because he hears Asha getting out of bed to use the restroom. And moments later, he heard her bed squeak again. And thinking that she had crawled back into bed, he paid her no attention and fell back to sleep. Akila, Asha's mother, she wakes up about 5:45 a.m. and she goes into the bathroom and prepares a bath for the kids because she knew they hadn't taken a bath the night before. So she's got to get these kids clean before she can send them off to school. And about 6:30, she went to wake up Asha and O'Brien. But when she opens their door, she notices O'Brien is sound asleep, but Asha isn't in her bed.
Oh my God. Just instantly you're confused, and I'm sure quickly going to be scared if you don't see him in the next minute, right?
Yeah, well, she thought this was peculiar, but she wasn't entirely worried yet. She scoured the rest of the apartment, expecting to find her daughter. But then panic starts to set in. I mean, can you imagine you wake up early in the morning, go to wake up your kids, one of them is missing? Not in the house.
No, I can't imagine that at all.
Yeah. So she's nowhere. Her heart's beginning to race. So frantic, she runs outside and begins checking the two cars, hoping that maybe for some reason Asha is sitting in the car or something, but she's not there. She proceeds to wake her husband up. He calls his mother to see if Asha was maybe down the street at her house. But Harold's mother had not seen her granddaughter. Akila then called her own mother, and with no luck, the couple phones the police.
So yeah, now everyone's I'm sure starting to call people on the phone, think of where she could be, might be, and all that. So I just can't imagine how scary these first moments for these families are when they realize that someone, especially a child's missing.
I can't imagine.
Oh my God, my heart goes out to them.
Yeah, this is something I never, ever want to experience. And I hope that no one we know experiences this. Can't even imagine. Well, the police arrive within 10 minutes. So very quickly, they make it to the house. And it's about 6:40 a.m. when police get there. They have search dogs that they bring in, but they're unable to pick up a scent on Asha. And this is possibly due to the thunderstorm, because it had been raining a bit.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine a heavy rain would help a scent search by dogs. Yeah.
Asha's family and police search the local neighborhood. There is no trace of the child. By noon, over 60 people, including area residents, folks from the neighborhood, the church congregation, they even had a helicopter with an infrared heat detection that were all part of the search efforts. So this is a big bunch of people looking for this kid.
So it sounds like they're quickly doing everything they can to find her.
Yeah, definitely.
Pulling all the tools out.
The search consumed the afternoon. They were looking nearby woods, fields were combed, but they were finding nothing. No trace.
Man, it's like in Spaceballs when they're combing the desert for them with the big giant combs.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's probably what they were doing.
No, but they were looking for real, and it's scary.
When Asha's family scoured her bedroom for clues, they found that her backpack was missing, which she kept her house key in her backpack, along with her Tweety Bird purse and an assortment of clothing. Strangely, all of the doors and windows in the home had been locked, indicating that Asha left on her own. She had a house key, so she, at some point, had the forethought to, remember to lock the doors after leaving. It was a pretty responsible kid to think about that. I mean,
Yeah.
so they were like, okay, it's not like somebody broke in the house and took this kid. This revelation suggested that the squeaking O'Brien had heard was likely Asha packing her book bag and was getting ready to take off. So he heard the bed squeaking. He thought she got up, went to the bathroom, gone back to bed. But what he heard was his sister getting her shit together.
Because she's so responsible, you know. It's kind of weird. Why would she leave in the middle of the night?
I mean, it's, you know, and it's not like blaming O'Brien because he's a kid, but if only he had turned to check, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, I'm sure all family members always do that. The what ifs.
Yeah. But there seemed to be no reason why the little girl would run away. I mean, it wasn't like she had a bad home or any kind of problems. Everything seemed fine. She didn't have conflicts with anyone. I mean, there just seemed to be no reason why this child would run away.
Yeah, but all the other evidence suggests that she did leave on her own accord.
Definitely. Asha's disappearance made television news. The report prompted several witnesses to come forward. And according to 3 different people who were traveling, including some truckers, Asha was spotted walking along North Carolina Highway 18 between 3:45 and 4:15 a.m., which was only about a block away from her family's home. One of the drivers was very concerned after he had seen her walking. It's storming outside, and she didn't have any winter clothing on. So this driver turns back around, like busts a U-ey, turns back around to try to check on her. But before he had a chance to roll down the window and question her, hey, do you need any help, whatever, she darted off into the nearby woods. And this would be the last time she was seen alive, or just seen, period.
Oh, my God.
With a few leads, police searched the woods where the driver had seen her disappear. And it was during the search that the first break in the case happened. Police find a shed belonging to a business, Turner Upholstery. And inside the shed, officers find evidence that Asha may have sought shelter from the storm there. They found candy wrappers, a pencil, and a magic marker, and a Mickey Mouse-shaped hair bow that belonged to Asha. And her parents confirmed the hair bow in particular belonged to the girl, but also they recognized the pencil and the marker. So it might have been like kind of a unique pencil.
Well, I mean, or something she's had in the last week every day. You know, you see her at the table doing her homework and things of that nature. So, but definitely the hair bow, they knew for a fact was hers, right?
Yeah. The Degree family ramped up their search efforts in the following weeks. They began selling T-shirts with Asha's picture on it, just hoping that this would raise awareness and just keep the missing child in folks' minds, you know? And they were also thinking that maybe it would lead to helpful tips that might help track her down. And with the money that the Degrees were able to raise from the T-shirt sales, they put up a $5,000 reward for any information leading to Asha's whereabouts.
Well, it sounds like they raised quite a bit of money selling T-shirts. So it sounds as if the entire community is kind of involved.
They were. And
it was a big deal.
And this is a side note. I didn't put this in my notes, but it was something that I read. The family had to stop selling the T-shirts when they realized there was someone in the community also selling like basically fraudulent T-shirts.
Oh my God.
And were like stealing the money from the sales, from the proceeds, pretending they were like part of the family.
That would take a super shitbird. I mean, just like the shittiest of all to do that. You know, you've
like a shitbird.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, right?
You've
like
heard of that.
Who would exploit a missing child?
You've heard of that with people like with the jars at the register in convenience stores and such. When, you know, be on there say they have certain cancer, blah, blah, blah. Can you help? And, you know, some people actually do that fraudulently. And I just couldn't imagine lying about something like that or selling T-shirts and for a missing girl and just taking the money for yourself.
I know. What kind of disgusting person. When I read that, it was very disturbing.
That's such bad energy.
And I was like, who would do that?
Jesus.
Asha's disappearance made headlines across national television programs, including The Montel Williams Show, America's Most Wanted, and The Oprah Winfrey Show. Local newspapers and TV, they would periodically run her photo and information from time to time. Now, during the initial investigation, Asha's family members underwent polygraph testing, I'm so country. Polygraph testing.
It's that line box. They got it out.
Yeah. Well, this is a procedure that is fairly routine in missing persons cases, from what I gather.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's obviously not admissible or anything, but I do think it can be used as a tool for cops to either bluff someone into telling the truth or kind of point them in the right direction, maybe.
The entire Degree family passed the test. Investigators in the case were able to travel to Quantico, Virginia, to visit the FBI headquarters, and they had a profile created of a suspect. But this didn't really lend to solving the case at all. Like, they got the profile, the suspect profile, but, I mean, it wasn't like they had anything to go on. Like, it's not helpful to have a profile when you don't have a suspect kind of thing, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're just going to have this very generic kind of profile. But, sometimes they're spot on, and that's the kind of thing that breaks the case.
Right. I'm sure it's probably helpful in some way to have this on file, but, it didn't really generate any leads or anything.
Well, I think a lot of times families of these victims, missing members of, do this, the searching and all the fundraising and stuff. It's kind of somewhere they can put their energy while they don't know what's happened to it. And also it helps reinforce that hope that they're found.
I'm going to have a sip of coffee.
And returned safe. I will allow it.
I'm drinking from my cup that says Daddy.
Oh, my God.
This isn't his. This is my cup.
She has the daddy mug.
I bought myself a daddy mug. Can we have a coffee break? Let's take a break.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Talk amongst yourselves. Do you remember Linda Richmond from Saturday Night Live? I love Linda. Love her.
Coffee talk.
Coffee talk with Linda Richmond. Okay? I'll be back in 30 minutes. We'll have some more coffee talk. Okay?
Oh, my God.
Now, it wasn't until August 3rd of 2001 when 26 miles away in Burke County, which is the opposite direction of where Asha was seen walking, a contractor working a construction project unearthed a backpack that was wrapped in 2 plastic trash bags and buried.
Okay.
Not good.
No,
it was
that's not
confirmed to be Asha's because it had her name and phone number printed on it. So this was like the first hot lead in the case. Investigators inspected the construction site, but all they found was a pair of men's khaki pants and animal remains.
So this is the first tangible evidence of this definitely belonged to her. Well, they found, I guess, the marker in the hairboat early on.
Yes.
In that barn.
It was a shed.
In that shed.
Yeah.
But now they think they possibly have another lead to get some answers.
The findings were sent to the FBI crime lab in Quantico, but the results and additional details have never been made public. And despite the latest bombshell discovery, Asha's case wasn't producing any promising information, and her case went cold. Though the police did announce they believe Asha left her residence of her own free will and likely met with foul play.
Oh, my God.
13 years later, which would be January of 2014, lead detectives in Asha's case hoped to catch a break when U.S. Marshals arrested 52-year-old Donald Preston Ferguson at his residence in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And this was for the 1990 murder of a 7-year-old girl named Shalonda Poole. She was strangled, stabbed, and sexually assaulted behind a Greensboro, North Carolina elementary school.
I mean, how? I just don't understand how you could do that to a child.
These people are fucked up.
I'm telling you, man. It should be, if I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you did this to a child, you need to be taken out of humanity. You need to be removed with a bullet or something. I mean, I don't know how you recover from that.
Yeah, I have strong feelings about pedophiles and child murderers.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things. If there's one thing I could put down that you don't deserve any chance to repent or change and rehabilitate from, it's that. I mean, really.
Well, at the time of Shalonda's murder, Donald Ferguson was arrested in June of 1989 for sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl in Spartanburg, South Carolina. He managed to place bail while awaiting trial and then relocated to Greensboro, where he eventually met Shalonda Poole through her half-brother, a guy named Marvin Cowan. Shortly after her body was found, he moved back to South Carolina. So when he finally went to trial in March of 1991, he was found guilty and sentenced to 8 years in prison, but he was released in October of 1997. He served 6 years in prison.
For murdering a 7-year-old and sexually assaulting them out behind a school?
Yeah.
How the hell does that work?
Initially, a guy named Melvin Bennett, who was a mentally disabled individual, he had the IQ of less than 70. He was a co-worker of Shalonda's mother at UNC Greensboro. He confessed to her murder. Now, he would be indicted for first-degree kidnapping and first-degree statutory sexual offense. And this went to grand jury in March of 1991. But 6 months later, DNA testing proved that he was innocent. And so after, a trial, he was found not guilty.
So basically, his trial had already started, and then he was proved innocent. So I wonder if that's a situation where he inserted himself in this investigation, which can happen, or if they got him and leaned on him for a false confession. So
he actually only served 6 years for the sexual assault of the other girl. No one was charged in Shalonda Pools. So I jumped the shark.
Oh, I'm sorry. But still, why is he able to post bail when you've already assaulted a child?
And move
and all that.
Out of state.
I mean, that's where the system seems like it could be made to work better in those situations.
Yeah, you'd think.
Oh,
well, Shalonda Pools' case went cold until it was reopened in 2007. Through advancements in forensics, the police were led to Donald Ferguson when DNA was collected from an entirely different sexual assault case that was being examined in 2013. This guy, there's just no end to it. And it was surprisingly matched to the DNA evidence that was obtained from Shalonda Pools' case. Now, once this guy, Ferguson, was apprehended, the Shelby police focused in on him after looking at his history because Shalonda's case had similarities to Asha's disappearance.
Well, that's a good reason to take a hard look at this guy.
Shalonda shared a room with her twin sister and mysteriously vanished in the early morning hours of July 21st, 1990, sometime between 6 and 8 a.m.
Oh, so what time they think she left the house? Okay.
When she was reported missing, many people helped search for her, including Donald Ferguson. He had known Shalonda's family for about a month and had even been to her home days before playing cards with her family members. Her body was uncovered one day later, bound and gagged. She suffered 19 stab wounds to the neck and was manually strangled. So after investigating Donald Ferguson, he was cleared in Asha's case. So linked to Shalonda Pool, but cleared in Asha's disappearance. In December of 2014, he pleaded guilty to Shalonda's murder and was convicted of first-degree murder and first-degree sexual assault, and he was finally sentenced to life in prison.
Oh, my God.
After having, sexually assaulted how many kids?
See, this is why you don't have non-violent drug offenders and users in jail, so guys like this can be kept in jail and away from the general public.
Agreed. Thanks for manspreading some more, Dylan.
I'm not, honey. I have my thighs clasped together.
You need a thigh master so you can learn to just clench them.
Well, I'm telling you right now, there is suppressors who are going to have some diamonds between my legs. Yeah.
Maybe you need to do something. Maybe you need to get yourself on a damn treadmill or something.
I'm squeezing hard as I can.
Somebody buy him a thigh master, y'all. Get more patrons to sign up so Dylan can get a thigh master.
My thighs are powerful right now. I'm telling you, they don't need a thigh master. They'll get bigger.
I feel like they're chafing. They're going to chafe.
I need to powder them.
In February of 2015, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office and the FBI began to re-examine Asha's case, going through all the evidence collected and re-interviewing people from the initial investigation. So during this strenuous process, a viable new lead was made relevant in May of 2016. Law enforcement announced to the public that there may have been sightings of Asha entering a dark green early 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark 6? Or is it a Mark 4? I don't know my Roman numerals.
It is a Lincoln Continental. Let's just leave it at that.
I think it's a Mark 4.
Yeah, that's a 4, if that's a correct numeral.
Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's 4.
I don't know Roman numerals, okay?
And the Ford Thunderbird.
Can I just be cute instead? Okay. Or a Ford Thunderbird, but that had rust along the wheel wells. And that's a pretty unusual vehicle. I mean, if we're talking the year 2000, like a mid or an early 70s Lincoln or a Thunderbird from that year, seems like that'd be a car that would stand out.
Yeah, no doubt.
3 years later, in October of 2018, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office unveiled more possible clues relating to her case via Facebook, and they asked for the public's assistance. So the first piece of evidence they released was that the book McElligot's Pool by Dr. Seuss had been checked out at the Falston Elementary School library around the time of Asha's disappearance, but the school didn't have any records dating back that far. So they think she took this book.
Yeah, see,
I might have had it on her person.
Oh.
Or in her book bag.
Okay.
At the time she was missing.
Okay.
Okay, what?
I mean, I was wondering the relevance of the book, but I understand she may have had it with her.
Yeah. And the second clue was a white t-shirt with a red collar and matching sleeves featuring a picture of the band The New Kids on the Block, and it was on the front. The police were hoping that this new information would maybe be able to jog someone's memory as to whether or not, you know, they had seen these items or they'd seen a girl with these items. And the New Kids on the Block t-shirt actually had belonged to Asha's mother.
I'm trying.
And it was like an oversized t-shirt. You know, it was like an adult t-shirt, but Asha would sleep in it. And she had it on when she disappeared.
Why would you be sitting on these simple clues all this time? I mean, that wasn't exactly...
Is that a rhetorical question?
No, I'm just saying, I'm wondering why. That seems like information that would have been put out early on.
I don't know, Dylan.
Oh, my God. You need to find that shit out. You need to find out why.
I don't have the answers. Okay? If I had answers, I would question why I'm with you. See, I don't have the answer to that.
That's a damn lie. You know the answer to that. I don't. Oh, baby. Yeah.
No, trust me.
Yes.
Okay, shh. Just be silent.
Don't rub my mic.
Shh.
You can't silence me.
I will definitely silence you.
I have First Amendment right protection.
You need a muzzle.
By the Supreme Court of this great nation of ours.
Throughout all these years, the small town of Shelby still has missing pictures of Asha plastered all throughout the area and including on a billboard. On that NC Highway 18 where she went missing, there's like a big billboard with her photo.
Yeah, I think we've actually commented on the billboard.
Yeah. Asha's name is not far from the minds of the residents who remember the sad tale of this missing little girl. And as for the Degree family, they've done everything they possibly can to keep Asha's story alive. They created a scholarship in her name. They also host an annual walk. And they were hosting it on Valentine's Day, but Asha's mother decided to host it a week earlier because she was like, I don't want people to be sad on a day that's supposed to be about love.
Oh. But
they will meet at like Asha's parents' house and make the walk to the wooded area where she went missing. And a lot of people turn out for this. And it's been a grueling and terrible experience for the Degree family. I mean, as you can imagine, all these years with no answers. I should also mention that reports state that Asha was terrified of dogs. Like, really, really afraid of dogs. So, what would possess a little girl to slip away from home in the darkest hours of night / early morning to go off into the scary woods when she's, like, afraid of dogs? And you know most kids aren't going to want to go out into the dark night alone.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hate to speculate on what she was or wasn't doing, you know, her being the victim in this, but, I mean, the evidence suggests she left the house willingly and took her stuff with her, if you will. No different than if a wife of someone's wife's missing in their purse and, you know, all their personal effects, their phone, everything's with them and gone. They have their money. Then but if all that stuff's there, obviously a woman hasn't left without her personal effects. And it sounds like she took her personal effects, left, locked her door behind her. No one heard a disturbance. And then if the eyewitness accounts of seeing her, you know, out there and trying to, you know, make contact and her darting off into the woods, it leads you to believe she didn't want to be stopped at the moment. Like maybe she had been coerced or...
Well, that's my question.
She's been
my theory maybe is she had been groomed by someone?
Well, I hate to say it.
I mean,
I hate to say
I don't
it.
want to speculate, but just theorizing, like, what could have possibly gotten this little girl out of the house at this hour to go off on her own. I mean, if someone had perhaps groomed her, like, come out, meet me, I'm going to pick you up.
Yes, and these monsters do that, and they could do that for weeks or months, depending on how they're communicating, with the said child. But that's what happens. And I'm afraid in this case, maybe something like that happened because she wasn't meeting up friends to, get into some, dumb stuff kids do. And no one else seemed to be connected at all. So that's certainly what it could be what happened.
Well, in my research, I did find officers, detectives, investigators were speculating that if she was abducted, that this person would need to be local and have a pretty good understanding of the area. Like the wooded area where she was taken. I mean, it doesn't seem like it was super easy to get to.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a spot right off a busy highway or anything like that, which leads you to believe, people, we've said it before, when they have killed someone or something, they want to be comfortable when they're disposing of the body. They want to be familiar or get in there quickly and get out quickly. But, or did she just leave the house messing around doing some dumb kid stuff? Or
like, hey, she just read The Whipping Boy.
Yeah,
these characters run away from home.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she thought
she'd go on an adventure or something.
I'm going to go on a little adventure, a little walkabout.
And come back before, everyone gets up and it'll be my little seat. Not a bad thing, dangerous thing, but not a bad thing for a kid to do. And then randomly come upon some predator monster. That's
like
sad
just
as well.
Wrong time, wrong place kind of thing.
I mean, that could happen as well.
I mean, it's like, did she randomly become a victim, or was this there's some bigger plan at work here? I mean, there are so many questions. And this year marked 20 years that the poor little girl has been missing. It's a long time.
That is a long time. It's so sad.
Asha's mother said in an interview that everything goes through your mind. You see other people who would have grown up with her or graduated high school with her. You look at their lives and you see they have their own families or careers or are traveling or whatever, and you realize you missed out on a lot. It's always there.
Oh my gosh.
This
just
poor woman.
Always a hole that would never be filled. Never be filled again.
That unknown, like just not knowing what happened.
I think that's the saddest part of missing people cases, especially your child.
Well, I wish there was more information available about the backpack that they found at the construction site. I mean, the fact that someone put it in trash bags, like that doesn't sound so good to me.
No.
That kind of sounds scary.
Well, that is, I mean, yeah.
But it makes you wonder, like, if they did test it at Quantico, what did they find? Like, did they find DNA? Was there blood or anything like that to indicate that? Because they think she met foul play, but it just makes you wonder, like, do they know more than they're letting people, like her family, know about that?
I don't know. Apparently they didn't find out any information that led to any kind of arrest, so
me over here being
not.
Inarticulate, like, it could kill her family. I just can't, I know.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
This is throwing me. What can I say?
It's different. But, we've enjoyed talking to our patrons, and you'll be able to see my big head in person.
You see his big head?
Yeah, you see it.
If only they could just see your big, thick thighs as you squeeze on my settee.
Oh, my settee. It's a fucking bench.
No, it's a settee.
Oh, my God.
It's actually what it's called.
It's just a regular people bench.
You're wrong.
It is a chair without a back.
No.
That's what it is.
No, it's not. No, it's so you can lounge seductively and we can do our Christmas card photos of you. Like George Costanza. Like remember when George did those boudoir photos?
Oh, my God.
Will you leave your fucking mic alone?
Yeah, I'm
he's
sorry.
Like a fidgety little kid. This is what happens at... Ooh, yeah. Oh, sorry. No, I'm not really sorry.
She's not sorry.
This is what happens every time we sit down to record. I'm like, will you stop? Will you quit? He gets me so riled up because he's like a little kid, like poking and moving and like drinking. And then he makes all these like weird noises. And I'm just like, will you stop?
I don't. I breathe. That's the weird noise I make.
He'll be like,
I don't slurp.
and I'm like, what you
That's
do?
a damn lie.
You slurpy son of a
I'll
bitch.
take a drink. See, there's a little granddaughter. Can't see it.
She's a mess. She's so cute. She just turned 1.
Yeah, it's
She's
gonna.
very cute.
I'm not gonna spoil her. I'm gonna teach her the School of Hard Knocks.
He's not.
I am.
She's gonna be very spoiled.
Okay, so what else?
Well,
We
that
talk
was
about
our,
how much we love our patrons.
Well, of course. So
And-
that was our live show, virtual live show.
Oh, and I must say, I don't know if she's watching, but a patron Sunday sent us another incredible present.
Oh man, yeah! I posted a picture on Instagram. It is so cool. It's
It is.
some like fan art.
Yeah, it's our fan art.
It
She'd
was
already
pretty
sent us
awesome.
one, and then she sent us another one of basically our first ever logo here at Mountain Murders, and we think
It's
that's
like beaded. It's framed. I
oh
mean,
my god, the colors.
it is really cool. Hi, Ornery Mule Racing. I love Ornery Mule. That's funny.
We are glad you're here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're happy you joined us.